You are standing in your kitchen, holding a cup of coffee, thinking about nothing in particular. Then, the floor moves. Not much, just a small shiver, like a truck passing outside. You barely notice it. But somewhere underneath your conscious mind, something ancient has already woken up. Your body knew before you did. This is the story of the 10 seconds after the ground starts shaking. Not the seconds after you decide what to do, the seconds before you even know there's a decision to make. Because in those 10 seconds, you are not really you. You are a 200,000-year-old survival machine, running code that was written long before kitchens, coffee, or floors existed at all. Here is what almost nobody tells you about fear. It does not begin in your mind. It begins in a small, almond-shaped cluster of neurons buried deep in your brain called the amygdala. Neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux spent decades mapping exactly how this structure works, and what he found reshaped how scientists understand fear itself. The amygdala does not wait for your thoughts to catch up. It reacts to raw sensory data, milliseconds before your conscious brain even registers what's happening. Sound, motion, vibration. The amygdala hears all of it first. So when the floor moves, your ears detect it. Your inner ear, the same organ that keeps you balanced on a bicycle, senses the shift instantly. That signal races to your amygdala before it ever reaches the part of your brain responsible for language, logic, or names for things. This is why, in the middle of an earthquake, people often say they couldn't think. They weren't lying. For a fraction of a second, they genuinely couldn't. Thought was offline. Survival wasn't. What happens next is a hormonal chain reaction so fast it feels instantaneous. Your amygdala signals your hypothalamus. Your hypothalamus signals your adrenal glands. Within seconds, adrenaline floods your bloodstream. Your heart rate spikes. Your pupils dilate. Blood rushes away from your digestive system and into your limbs. Your body is making a bet. It's betting that in the next few seconds, you might need to run, jump, or fight for your life. And it's not waiting for permission. This is the fight or flight response, first described over a century ago by physiologist Walter Cannon. But here's what Cannon's original theory missed, and what modern researchers have since added. Fight or flight isn't the only option your body considers. There's a third one, and it's the one most people don't expect: freeze. Psychologist Peter Levine, who spent his career studying trauma responses, found that freezing isn't failure, it's not weakness, and it's not the absence of a survival instinct. It is one. In the animal kingdom, freezing evolved because sudden stillness can confuse a predator's ability to track motion. For early humans facing an unstable world, a temporary freeze may have bought crucial seconds to gather information before committing to a response. So if you've ever heard someone describe standing motionless during an earthquake, unable to move even though they wanted to, that wasn't panic overriding their instincts. That was their instincts, doing exactly what they were built to do. Why does any of this matter? Because earthquakes are, evolutionarily speaking, almost brand new. Modern buildings have existed for a few hundred years. Earthquakes have existed for as long as the planet has had a crust. Your nervous system evolved to handle a threat, not a floor. It doesn't know the difference between a charging predator and shifting tectonic plates. It just knows the ground is not supposed to move like this. React now. Ask questions later. This is where things get strange, because your 10-second response isn't actually about the earthquake at all. It's about pattern recognition, built over millions of years, running a program designed for an entirely different world. Consider what early hominins actually faced. Not skyscrapers, not concrete, open landscapes, unstable ground near riverbanks, occasional volcanic activity, and yes, earthquakes, especially in geologically active regions like the East African Rift Valley, where much of early human evolution took place. Anthropologist Saleshi Sama and his colleagues have documented tool use sites in this exact region, layered near volcanic ash and shifting fault lines. Early humans didn't just survive in an earthquake-prone landscape. They evolved inside one. That means your instinct to freeze, brace, or bolt during sudden ground movement isn't a modern glitch. It's an inheritance, a message passed down from ancestors who lived somewhere the ground occasionally, violently disagreed with them.
So what actually happens second by second? At 0 seconds, the P wave arrives.
This is the fastest seismic wave, and it usually feels like a jolt or a bump, arriving before the shaking really begins. Some people report a strange sound, low and pressurized, just before they consciously register movement. That's not imagination. P waves can produce audible vibrations before the more damaging S waves follow. By 2 seconds, your amygdala has already processed the sensory input as a threat. Adrenaline is entering your bloodstream. Your muscles are tensing, even if you haven't consciously decided to move. By 4 seconds, most people report their first coherent thought, not a plan, just a single word: earthquake. This is the moment your prefrontal cortex, the rational, language-based part of your brain, finally catches up to what your body has already been doing for several seconds. By 6 seconds, decision-making begins. But it's crude, simple, binary. Move or don't move. This is not the moment for nuanced problem solving, and researchers who study crisis cognition, including psychologist John Leach, who has spent years analyzing behavior during real disasters, have found that complex reasoning essentially shuts down under this kind of acute stress. Leach's research on what he calls behavioral inaction found that a significant percentage of people in emergencies don't act quickly or efficiently. They freeze, hesitate, or perform strange, non-functional tasks like straightening a picture frame while a building shakes around them. It sounds absurd. It isn't. It's the ancient brain trying to force normalcy onto a moment that refuses to be normal. By 8 seconds, if you're going to move, you're moving now. And how you move depends heavily on something you have almost no control over: whether you've rehearsed this exact response before. This is the biological argument behind earthquake drills. It's not really about knowledge. It's about giving your body a preloaded motor pattern so that when the amygdala takes over, it has something better to run than blind panic. By 10 seconds, either the shaking has stopped or your body has committed fully to a survival strategy, and the rest becomes a blur most people struggle to accurately recall afterward. This is common in high-stress events. Memory encoding under extreme adrenaline is notoriously unreliable, which is part of why eyewitness accounts of disasters often vary so wildly, even among people who experience the exact same event standing in the exact same room. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. None of this required your permission. You didn't choose to feel your heart race. You didn't choose to freeze or bolt or forget half of what happened. Your body made those choices for you, using a decision-making system built for a world that no longer exists in the way it once did. And maybe that's uncomfortable. We like to think of ourselves as rational, in control, the authors of our own actions. But for 10 crucial seconds, you are not the author. You are the character, something older than language, older than agriculture, older than the concept of a house is the one steering. It's tempting to think of this as a flaw, something outdated that should have evolved away by now. But consider this instead. That ancient system has kept humans alive through ice ages, predator attacks, floods, and yes, an unknowable number of earthquakes long before anyone thought to name them. It's not broken, it's just old. It was built for survival first and comfort a distant second. So the next time the ground moves, even slightly, even for a moment you almost dismiss, pay attention to what happens inside you before you have time to think about it. That jolt of alertness, that surge of energy, that strange, sudden clarity, or that stranger stillness. That's not fear getting in your way. That's every ancestor you've ever had, all at once, making sure you're still here to feel it.